On everyone, let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. Can somebody tell the Memphis Grizzlies that they haven't won or done anything? Because the Memphis Grizzlies act like they are the defending NBA champions. You got Morant beating up kids and waving guns. You have Dillon Brooks acting like he's getting ready for a WWE match. He's out here acting a fool, acting goofy. These guys, I get it. They're young. They're having fun. They're just trying to enjoy life, and they're playing a game and they're playing in the NBA, but they just do too much, right? They really do. They're having so many issues and so many things going on behind the scenes, and they're just too cocky for their own good. That's my problem. Is a little humble pie, a little maturity, a little humbleness. Right? You've seen all the conversations about how they really need a veteran guy. They really need a veteran presence. They really need a locker room guy. And I'm not saying they can't have fun. I'm not saying they can't come out and just do some dances and stuff. But it's just the behavior and the pattern that we're seeing with this team. And then you continuously see this, and they're just getting reamed and trolled all over Twitter, and people are just people are expressing a lot of the same stuff that I am. There's people that are just trolling just to troll, but then there are people that are, expressing hey, this team has a lot to still prove and a lot to still do. You have, Morant on interviews talking about how they're not afraid of anybody in the West, and they got the West locked up and it's fine. And you look at it and it's they're not winning against the better Western Conference teams this year. They have had their struggles. Morant's definitely had his struggles, obviously, and I hope that he learned from this experience, and I hope that he's better for this team because this team needs him. But also you're hearing things that the locker room, that a lot of people might not really like Ja, and that they don't really, respect him, and they kind of feel he's put the team in compromised situations and positions at times, and which is understandable that people would feel and express that way. And, even look at the Warriors and everything that happened with the Warriors, right? That's a real thing. And the Warriors have had their struggles, and a lot of people point and go, hey, look at what Draymond and Jordan Poole. Now, obviously, the Grizzlies haven't had something like that, but it's just the distraction, right? Ja Morant is an incredible talent. He is unbelievable, without a doubt. One of the best young players in the league. But he hasn't really accomplished anything. The Memphis Grizzlies as a whole haven't really accomplished anything. They very well could be a first-round exit. I don't think anybody is looking at the Memphis Grizzlies going, man, I'm worried, I'm scared of that team. Nobody's concerned with the Grizzlies, right? They are a very good, very young, very talented team. And I think that they have a very promising future. I think that this is a team that could absolutely make some noise. This is a team I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't think anyone would be surprised if they came out the West. But it's just, again, that humbleness. And I really think that they need to kind of look themselves in the mirror and really, or they need to bring in a hard-nosed vet that just don't play games, that isn't afraid of any of these kids, that has no problem punching one of them in the mouth if you have to, whatever, right? The organization should probably bring, I would, if Udonis Haslem wants to retire, I would hire Udonis Haslem as just the enforcer on the bench, right? Bring him in as a player coach and just tell him, you have full reign to do whatever you need to do to them. If you have to beat the dog shit out of one of them, do it. Go ahead, right? Because, seriously, this isn't the grit and grind Grizzlies, right? You had the grit and grind Grizzlies. They were hard-nosed. They were tough. You had Zebo. You didn't want to meet any of those guys in a bar fight. And you have Brooks, who acts like he's Tony Allen or something like that. He's just this great, tough, hard-nosed guy that just, the dude's out here pushing cameramen and stuff. It's just silly. It's nonsense. And it's for a team that hasn't done anything. That's hasn't even gotten out of the second round. it's ridiculous to see a team that just they act like they're the Warriors dynasty. You know, like the Warriors don't even behave this way. And they have probably more right than anybody to do that. You know, like Draymond, like don't get me wrong, Draymond does a lot of dumb stuff. Draymond is a bit of a problem, but at least he's backed it up over his career. At least he's backed it up over this time, right? And he's won NBA championships, and he's led the defense, and he's been a defensive player of the year. He's been that guy, that just hard-nosed guy, right? Like tough guy. Done a lot of goofy stuff, had a lot of silly moments, don't get me wrong, but again, he's backed it up. Not a single guy on the Grizzlies has backed anything up other than just losing in the playoffs, right? And it's like, I just, at some point, you gotta have some change. Because what's probably going to happen is they're probably going to lose in the first or second round again. And then what? Then what are you going to say? You know, and what? You're going to continue to act and talk and behave this way? There's no humility. Like, I love, you know, some trash talk. I love seeing a guy with confidence. I love seeing a guy that just, you know, he really believes in himself. He believes in the team, all that stuff. But there's a big difference between confidence and arrogance. And I just feel like the Memphis Grizzlies show a lot of arrogance for a team that shouldn't be showing that level of arrogance. But I don't know. I don't really have a lot of faith in the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't think that they're going to really do anything. I think they need some veteran guys that can come in and kind of put some of these kids in their place, because that's what it is. It's a bunch of kids on a team behaving like a bunch of kids, and you know, there's no one to really ground them. There's nobody to really kind of like put them and keep them in line. You have the face of your franchise, you have your best player just acting a fool. You have, you know, your role guy who is not anything more than a role guy. Like, and he's not even that good of a role guy. He's not some like elite role guy. Like he's another guy, right? He's a guy that in a couple years, nobody's even going to know who he is or remember who he is. Like, nobody's going to be talking about Dillon Brooks and how he changed the game, or like the dude's just another guy. We've seen 1,000 Dillon Brooks in the NBA, right? Like, you know, he's not elite or great at anything, you know, to where it's like he deserves the title and the cockiness. No, he's a fake tough guy. You know, it's just you have these as your leaders, as the loudest voices in the locker room, as the guys that are, you know, the face of the franchise in many ways, and it's not a good look. It just isn't. And, you know, anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Again, I have no problems with them dancing and having fun and having a good time, right? You need to build that chemistry. You need a light locker room. You need to have fun. But given the circumstances of this year, specifically with the Grizzlies, it's just not a good look, in my opinion. It's not a good look at all. But back it up this year. Maybe they come out of the West and they win the NBA championship. But I think it's more likely that they're a first or second round exit rather than coming out of the West. I think that they have a lot of great talent. I think they're very young. I think that they are a team that year in and year out could get better. I think, you know, like the OKC days, right? Remember James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Serge Ibaka, all those guys, right? You saw like the progress every year. Like, they made the playoffs. They lost in the first round. Then they lost in the second round. Then they made it to the Western Conference. And then they're in an NBA championship, right? Like, that's the trajectory I could see for the Grizzlies. I could see them, you know, being a first, second round exit, working hard, doing what they can to, you know, progress and get better each year. And then eventually they're in a Western Conference, and then they're playing for an NBA championship, and they're in the NBA Finals. Like, I can absolutely see that. But they got to just mature and get themselves right. because I don't see it until that happens. That, or again, they need a locker room veteran presence type guy. I'm all for having fun, all for enjoying yourself. I'm all for not taking life too serious. Because look, we only got one life to live. Enjoy it. And they're living their best life, right? They're at the pinnacle of a professional athlete, a career, all of that. Embrace it, love it, enjoy it. But again, given the circumstances of this year and just what we've seen, a little humility, a little maturity, a little less arrogance would be nice for this Grizzlies team. But again, love to hear your thoughts, opinions, however you feel, down in the comments below.